Welcome to Ceramic Bead Making with Earthnocturne. In these first few videos, we'll be learning how to form some of the many bead shapes that are possible with ceramic clay, and in later videos we will go on to bisque and glaze fire them. Here are the first few shapes that we'll be learning how to make today. If you're going to be making a strand of beads, ones that will be placed on the same chain together and want them to be about the same weight and size, you can roll a coil and measure out segments approximately the same size, or you can use a gram scale to be more precise. You'll also want to have on hand a spray bottle with water in it and plastic bags to keep the clay from drying out. A round bead is the basis for many of the shapes we'll be forming today. It's very simple to make. It's by rolling in the palm of your hands using your fingers until you achieve a nice spherical shape. And then to place a hole, once it's set up a little bit, not when it's too wet or else it will tear the clay, you'll push it through until you see the point of the knitting needle, at which time you'll take it out and push it right back down the opposite direction. And this will prevent you from getting too much clay at the top pushed out from the hole, where you'll have to clean up later. If the clay has been sitting a while and is leather hard, you can use a drill bit to make a nice clean hole for threading. To form an oblong bead, you'll take your rounded piece of clay and roll it slightly down into a coil, just a little bit, and then concentrate on tapering the ends off by rolling them with your fingers on the canvas and smoothing them with your fingers. A bicone bead is very similar to an oblong bead. Once again, you'll roll it down to a slight coil, and then this time you'll be pushing from the middle to the end, so each half will be tapered a little bit more, and the center is pushed out a little more than a oblong bead would be too. A concave bicone would be formed by starting with the bicone bead, rolling each end and tapering them down, and then pushing in so that the center is more pronounced than it would be on a bicone, and the ends are rolled narrower than a bicone. Sometimes when you have those narrow necks on the beads, those split when the clay is too dry. You can keep the clay from drying out by spraying it, but you can also use a progression of needles, starting with the smaller diameter one and then working to a larger one, and in between put some oil, olive oil or any kind of light oil on your needle, and it will keep it from splitting. A cone bead, it's essentially half a bicone, but it's formed by taking a round piece once again and just flattening one end and spinning it around and then rolling it like you would a bicone, just very slightly. You'll need to flatten the top on these to give them a nice diameter for the needle to make the hole without splitting the neck. Tabular beads come in many forms, many shapes. We'll start with the round, and I just press a spear together, flatten it with my fingers, roll the edges, and then take turns alternating, flattening the base and the edges until it's round and even. Measure your needle first to make sure you have sufficient room to to place the needle without splitting through the sides. Make sure it's wide enough. With a square, it's similar to forming a round, except it's just flattening the sides instead of rolling them, and then alternating flattening with your fingers and on the canvas. And finally, a tabular triangular, which is similar to forming a cone, where you just flatten the bottom of it to form a triangle, and then take turns rotating and flattening the face and pinching the sides into the points and flattening the sides.